Hey, happy Wednesday, July 19th here on the CNET Studios. We're doing a special pre-taped edition of the 359 podcast because, as you very well know by now, we are still on hiatus.
That's
but
right.
we wanted to give you a couple of little...
We're not really here right now.
So much has changed in the last 3 weeks. Man, I feel I'm so much more
amazing.
matured as a person.
We finally got hoverboards.
Man, what a crazy 3 weeks it's been.
So, Alfred, Roger, we have something special in store today to kind of fill the gap in.
Yeah, well, it's sort of in honor of upcoming Comic-Con, which kicks off officially tomorrow, and which I will be at.
Tomorrow.
Which is why I'm not here. Or am I? I don't know. We're going to be talking about...
Time travel is hard.
I know. We're going to be talking about upcoming anime, live action adaptations of classic anime, and whether or not this is a good or bad thing. And yep. So let's get
They
going.
should be abolished.
Well, if you've watched
Ban real anime.
if you've watched the Dragon Ball, the live action take on Dragon Ball, yeah, you can make the
I
argument that
can't
they
believe
should all
you
be
sat
banned.
through that. I cannot believe
I
you
sat through the
that.
whole damn thing.
Why?
What's
It
wrong
was
with you,
feeling
man?
so bad because I wanted to see how bad it would get, and it did not disappoint in terms of how terrible the escalation of terribleness for that movie just kept going, and yeah.
All right, so wait, I want to kill like 1,000 birds with one stone here. You say that was bad. It's pretty objectively bad. We know this. But for everybody out there actually watching this as it publishes on Wednesday the 19th, put your lists down below in the comments or however you want, or tweet at us or something like that. Rank your favorite live action. If you want to rank it, who's the worst to best or the worst to the least worst or whatever. We're curious, and maybe if we're lucky, we can actually turn that into like a top 5 with IAS or something like that. We could use some new ideas. But yeah, let us know what you think as we tell you what we think.
I think Ninja Turtles is probably the worst.
Wait, come on, dude.
My favorite anime.
God, all right, we're off to a terrible start.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna absolutely kill him.
By the way, I was looking at this site. There's Fist of the North Star. I forgot about that one. There was a live action adaptation of Fist of the North Star.
Wait. Totally serious question. Was that Jackie Chan or something?
No.
No.
It was played by a white guy.
Oh God, of course it was.
Of course it wasn't Jackie Chan.
What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of I'm thinking of a different, like a game
City
adaptation of
Hunter.
Meals on Wheel.
City Hunter was a live action adaptation that starred Jackie Chan.
Anyway.
When did that come out?
Looking at this picture, a long time ago.
Real early in Jackie's career.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I'm just looking at like this list. Well, Dragon Ball Evolution is up there.
All right, so yeah, let's get back into actually your organized thoughts before we just start rambling on.
Yeah, sorry. So we brought. I mean, the discussion was kind of brought on by the announcement that Cowboy Bebop was getting a live action treatment in a TV series form. That's coming. Did they?
They didn't release a date yet.
Okay, but there's no network or anything
No,
like that yet.
that's
okay.
it.
And we just got the trailer a few weeks back on Death Note, the Netflix movie that's coming up in the fall.
Which does not look bad.
Actually
I've watched the
looked
trailer.
pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, it's coming from great source material, so...
Yes, and Willem Dafoe is the perfect voice for...
kind of creepy.
yeah.
Well, I mean, he's William Dafoe is kind of he is a creepy creature.
He's
to
pretty
begin
much
with.
the Green Goblin in that voice.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Green Goblin.
And they got the monster kind of right. too.
Yeah.
He looked a lot like the anime. Like, I was really worried that they were going to try to westernize a lot of the aspects of it, like the name of the killer.
Whitewash it,
Yeah.
as they tend to do.
That's my
I
thing.
can't say that. I'm not white.
That's my that's my thing with
I'm your
like
proxy.
live action versions. I don't have a problem if they stick to the source material if it's like a really good story, which Death Note is. Like the plot lines, all the characters are like really cool, like, and you know they stuck to it.
Have you guys watched? I mean, have you guys read through the entire story-line
I didn't read it.
or watched the?
Yeah.
All right. I thought, frankly, it kind of ran out of steam halfway through when what's his name died.
L?
When L died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Oops.
But dude, it's like
been
years old. I mean, and I don't know how they're gonna make that work in the movie. Like,
I mean,
Like, 'cause
it'll probably end at that because like I
Yeah.
don't see them doing like the whole like every single arc.
right, because it goes on for a while. Like, and,
Yeah.
and then introduction of new
Yeah,
protagonists.
I
just
don't see
really
them doing the
confusing.
whole thing.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought that as classic as that story is, I thought it, and the ending was pretty good. I just thought kind of like that second half was a little, it meandered a bit,
Honestly, they'll probably end it at that point.
and then make a sequel.
Yeah, to make some more money that way.
You got to make more money.
It's easier to tell a story that way. That's why when you mentioned that they're like Lionsgate is interested in making like a Naruto kind of live action version, I think of all the story arcs in that. I'm like, they're either gonna condense it like super hard,
they're probably
or
gonna
they're
do their
just
own
gonna
thing.
make multiple movies.
No, they're gonna do their own thing. Like I feel like that story is so convoluted now that like you can imagine the producers in America are just gonna like strip it down. All right, it's kid ninjas.
Yeah,
that's basically it. And they've got special powers. They're like X-Men, but ninjas kids and ninjas. But they don't even look like ninjas.
That's my problem with like live action like adaptations though, is that like they're just like, all right, how can we make this like digestible for everybody instead of sticking it to like the source material kind of thing.
Because
like,
anime, but inherently, I mean, it goes after sort of niche.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if Naruto's that niche because it's fairly broadly
very popular.
Yeah.
They did that with like Ghost in the Shell, where instead of like sticking to the original movie, that's what made it so popular. It was essentially they took like Ghost in the Shell the movie, Ghost in the Shell the TV series, Ghost in the Shell like the follow up, like the spin off movies and stuff.
Like
and it was just like, it was like let's just make this like some kind of terrible Meatloaf movie where we all just put it in one thing.
When you said Meatloaf movie, I for a second was picturing Meatloaf in the movie, which
he probably
would have made it better.
But I mean, look at a lot of the legacy stuff that's going on these days. You referenced Ninja Turtles earlier in jest, but right now they have that cartoon series on Nickelodeon that's apparently coming to a close, as well as a new comic book series from IDW Publishing, and they did the exact same thing. They picked from the Mirage Publishing all the way to the syndicated Archie comics, pulled in elements from the original cartoon, and then like little dashes of bonuses from the movies.
For the Michael Bay or the recent movies, or
I'm not talking about the movies.
Oh,
those movies don't count. I'm talking about the current comics and the current cartoon series that are actually good.
Which cherry pick?
Which cherry pick from pretty much every.
I think it's possible to
even
do
from
that,
the bad
though.
stuff, just to like give you a little wink and a nod.
I think it's possible to do it though. I just think that like serious movie producers and filmmakers aren't making anime movies the same way that like serious movie producers are making them for like comic adaptations. Like you take a look at Logan, which is like supposed to be based off of Old Man Logan.
No, it's not.
It's supposed to be though. The idea is like
they took the
idea of
the theme
Logan is old now.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but the idea that exactly like it derived so far from it, but they still made an amazing movie out of it. That's like
it was always meant
essentially
to be its own thing though.
That's essentially what I want out of like live action like anime adaptations. You take something and then you don't have to stick to it like completely, but at least make it like a very good movie to watch as a standalone.
So would that be possible with something like Naruto, or is it such a convoluted idea?
I think it would be. My idea, like if Marvel can do it so like frequently where they can make all these movies like based off of their like hordes of comics that they have. But
I would argue with Marvel, it was sort of baby steps, right? Like the first, like Iron Man was pretty realistic, right? Like besides the fact that there's like a high tech piece of armor, but like things were grounded for a little while, and then they started to like amp it up, like oh now we're gonna introduce a Norse god, and we're gonna introduce magic, and like it got to a point where like oh now we're gonna throw out Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're so successful, you guys are gonna watch it because that's sort of how it worked. But they
like Inception, Doctor Strange.
Right. They built that foundation before they went really weird, right? So it's hard for anime because each one is its own franchise, and like where in that spectrum do you go? Do you start with like an Iron Man where everything's kind of grounded, or do you go all weird like Guardians of the Galaxy and just sort of hope that people buy into it?
I mean, I feel like Cowboy Bebop could actually be like a Guardians of the Galaxy like kind of role.
I mean,
now that they've shown that like heisty kind of westerny thing works, but still that's a risk in a franchise that's not as familiar. Guardians did kind of piggyback off of the familiarity and recognition of just Marvel. People now know and trust Marvel as a movie studio. People who've never even considered them as comic book publishers now just know like a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
that's how Guardian of the Galaxy could get away. They could never have like come out the gate with that. I don't believe that at all.
I guess that's my question. Is like, one, does Marvel's success with weird movies like Guardians of the Galaxy open the door to Cowboy Bebop, or is it just its own thing? Like when it comes out, people are gonna be like, I don't know what this is. This is weird. I don't want to watch it.
I think it definitely opens the door for it.
But there's no Marvel branding behind it, right?
It's a hard thing to think about because from day one, that was kind of a cult hit. It did open up a lot of doors for Eastern entertainment to
gateway
come.
Anime for a lot of people.
Absolutely. But it's still
anime.
Oh yeah,
it's still very congealed, concise.
Yeah.
It's not a mass market thing. This is going to be an interesting venture to see. I'm cautiously optimistic still.
I know Hollywood has been trying to make a Robotech movie for many, many years.
I just want to see
Akira,
Akira as well.
a live action Akira.
Yeah,
they've threatened it so many times.
It hasn't happened. I mean, I think it keeps falling apart, or people keep leaving. But there've been multiple people who've tried to make that movie.
I
The
just
last
wanna
person
see-
I heard attached to it was Jordan Peele from Get Out
Really?
For
Yeah.
Akira.
for Akira.
I think
He can-
Now I don't know.
that's my
I
point.
don't
I
know
think-
how much merit could be put behind that. That's just something I read out in the internet ether. So I don't want to like propagate rumors that are.
I mean, just
could very well
just
be
looking
correct.
Back to my
just looking
point,
at
though,
a
I
show
think-
and the way he's able to kind of imitate genres. Like, actually, I could see him.
I just think
Oh,
that,
he's
like,
already
as
proved
long as
himself
it's
as
a
a
good-
very good director.
As long as it's like a good storyteller behind like the camera, I have no problem with it.
Right.
It's just just take an adaptation and put like your vision on it and make it like not cheesy as hell.
But I mean, here's the greater question: how much of Asian culture influence can you get away with? Can actually be incorporated? I want to bring to note that that's the white dude in the room asking this question.
Well, no, that's a great question because like what we saw with Ghost in the Shell. I mean,
Oh my
there was
God, it was
definitely
so bad.
but there was. I mean, to be fair, there were other cast members who were Asian. They tried to incorporate some of that, but they couldn't get away from the fact that their lead character was a white woman.
Yeah,
I was so frustrated when I interviewed the director Rupert Sanders, where he talks about essentially this is in a different universe. All right, it's a multicultural universe, it's a parallel universe where race isn't really like that much of a thing. And then it gets to a point. Okay, then how come there's all these Japanese influences in the movie, man?
but that's it. That's exactly what I'm asking. Is
They're in
they
Japan.
can make the argument as we keep moving into the future and so on, and the global playground and everybody moving around, and eventually it just becoming one giant amalgamous pseudo culture, I guess, is the goal. But I mean, that doesn't change the fact that Ghost in the Shell relied philosophically on a lot of Eastern philosophies.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely dependent upon the source material, right? Like with Death Note, they could easily. I didn't really have an
Death
issue.
Note was written to be like it wasn't written like everybody's Japanese.
Yeah,
It was-
exactly.
yeah.
That it didn't have that like cultural hook to it. Like
Yeah.
it could have been anyone.
Yeah,
anyone
they're
playing
making like Full Metal Alchemist, like a live action version of that, and those characters are supposed to be in like Germany.
it. Right.
and-
All the names are they're all
Yeah.
European names.
But
Absolutely.
if you've seen the trailer for it, it's coming out in Japan, and everyone in that is
it's
Japanese.
a Japanese movie, yeah.
So
Which actually, I mean, it looks okay.
yeah,
I mean, you
I
seem
liked
more,
it. I
you
thought
seem
it
more
was
excited
great. I
about
thought
it
it
than
looked
I did.
really cool.
So I mean that's the question with Akira. Then can you do Akira?
They can't be in Neo Tokyo if they're
Yeah.
not like
Right, that's it.
Japanese
And that
people.
was always you read the crap about like, oh, we're
Who
gonna
is
make
it?
live action. It's gonna be Neo New York, and it's like that
sounds awful.
Yeah.
And so
That
I
doesn't make
expect
any
about
sense.
as
There's
good
no-
as the American
there's
Godzilla.
no biker gangs in New York. There are, but there's no like
Whoa, what?
Yeah, wait a second.
there's biker gangs in New York.
But I mean that's all about the Hiroshima event and
Yeah.
there's always been a deep rooted cultural not fear, not zealousy. I can't even come up with the right terminology about nuclear dangers.
Yeah.
because around Japanese culture, and I'm not going to try to speak over my own knowledge base here. I'm not going to pretend to be some expert in Eastern culture. It's not rocket science, though. It is nuclear physics. But I mean, that's how Akira came to be. Akira, that story doesn't happen in America.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't have we don't have the legacy there, right?
but is there are there studios like
I mean, people can come make the defense of this is all like supposed to be like fantasy stuff anyway. Like
course.
you
Right,
can't say
right.
like I mean Godzilla's the same way. Godzilla was supposed to be like an allegory, I guess, about like the dangers of like experimenting with like nuclear
Yep.
like energy and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And yet they were able to just put Godzilla in New York, and it's like it's just a big
It's
dinosaur.
just a monster?
But
Yeah.
it's also that's because Godzilla itself kind of got away from its core source material.
Yeah.
True. It just
As its own
became
franchise in
a
Japan,
monster,
right?
not an allegory.
Right.
Yeah.
It became a monster. It became a hero. It became a monster that fought other monsters. After a
Played
while,
basketball against Charles Barkley.
Right. It became its own thing, and I think that's why it was acceptable that you could take Godzilla and just move him to
Not
New York.
acceptable though. It just got
Is it?
spiraling down.
I mean,
But what
look,
I'm asking is, are there any studios in Japan that could do these live action scope? Like, you see more of it
I mean,
nowadays. 'Cause
you see a
you
ton of
guys
them.
talk about Death Note. I skipped over Death Note. I went straight to Attack on Titan,
okay.
and I
yeah,
watched.
that movie. The live action looks incredible for Attack on Titan.
Okay,
Are
maybe
you
some of
being
the
sarcastic?
effects are
Oh,
okay.
right.
I thought it
looking.
looked cool.
but I watched both of them back to back.
You watched the movies?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie. I just saw the trailers.
I watched the movie. I tried to watch the movie on an airplane, and I fell asleep.
It was
twice.
not good.
Yeah.
You know what? It would have worked though. I mean, and this is my very, very personal review of the movies and the fashion that I watch them. Is just don't try to name them Eren and Mikasa. Like it had nothing to do with those characters. They changed their backstories so hard. Why even go down that road? Why not just give us a side story where you could do whatever the hell you want because more people are being affected by Titans? Why did they have to try to like reboot the stupid? I don't know.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we gotta leave it at that. We've gotta run off and do other things. Travel back in time to our former selves in June.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry,
we came to a very abrupt stop there. We should do a part 2 of this.
Definitely. All right. Do you like anything you saw or heard here? Check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Feedburner, and Google Play Music. We will catch you all.
See you in the future.
A few weeks.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks all.